The Secret Life of Tommy Westwind by James Taylor. Molly Potter, a septuagenarian black woman, sat on the cast iron grate that jutted out from the stone wall of the firehouse. She wore an old dress that she, or some other young girl, many years ago, had partied in when good times held promises and promises meant good times. Molly was watching the firemen cutting and raking the grass as they did every Wednesday. She was drunk, as she was on every Wednesday, and her hands slowly pulled her wig down over her wrinkled brow and held it against her face. Twisting and turning the synthetic apparel, she slowly returned it so that it rested backwards upon her head as an ignoble crown. Lieutenant Tommy Westwind was embarrassed as he watched her. The cutters and rakers were white, he and Molly were black. Tommy Westwind took pride in his Indian ancestry. Nobody seemed to take him seriously when he talked of his ancient forebears being hornswoggled out of their lands north of the capital city. Tommy, through past intermarriages, had evolved into an American black. Yet his heart belonged to the Great Spirit that he prayed to. Baptists, with their gospel shouting, bothered him. Foreign blacks that he referred to as goat eaters bothered him. The black firemen's group that was always into politics and never found time to help the children bothered him. And Molly Potter, who was slowly exposing herself as she sat in a very UN lady-like manner, bothered him. The other firemen began to make crude remarks and joke with Molly. Maybe she would place her wig over her face again. Maybe she would drink some more and pass out. Maybe, just maybe, they could coax her into further embarrassing Lieutenant Westwind. Molly Potter was beyond embarrassment, but Tommy Westwind began to react. And the others seemed satisfied. "Get out of here, you old douchebag!" he shouted. He began to feel less black, less Indian, and less human. "God damn," he said to himself, "God damn it." At times like this, Tommy Westwind wished that he could be with his relatives on the reservation in Upper New York, where the older people, like Molly, could live out their remaining years with respect and return to Mother Earth. The city held no such hope, nor could Molly or Tommy ever find sanctuary beneath the concrete and asphalt that so boldly and callously separated man's spirit from the bosom of the earth. Molly now seemed to be settled for the day, so Tommy, in a reluctant manner, ordered his men to finish up and get back into the firehouse. Molly slowly got up as the last raker filed into the cavernous stone building and locked the door behind him, just as Lieutenant Westwind had ordered. Molly, in her party dress and wearing her ignoble crown, got up and walked around to the front door and tried the doorknob and said that she wanted to use the bathroom. "I ain't getting your crabs," bellowed the man on watch, and pulled down the shades so that Molly couldn't look in. Several hours later, when the shift had ended, Lieutenant Westwind got into his car, drove to the bulkily packaged store, and purchased a bottle of vodka. He then drove to a single-family home that had stood for 100 years. Ringing the doorbell twice, he proceeded through the old oak door. After all, old amigos were always welcome. "Tommy!" shouted Molly. She was almost sober now, and her hair was on straight. "How come you're always locking me out?" Tommy didn't answer. He had taken a couple of glasses from the cabinet and started to pour the colorless liquid. "You know, at one time my ancestors owned half of this land. They were Blackfoot Indians," Tommy boasted. "Oh, go on, you're nothing but a jive ass," choked Molly as the elixir reached her stomach. As the evening wore on, Molly's imagination soared to interplanetary heights. As Tommy weaved tales of dauntless braves and of his valorous Indian heritage, she believed him to be an illustrious chief. Tommy watched as she applied some lipstick and fixed her hair. He envisioned his companion in her party dress, mellowed and obscured by the alcohol. The garment lost its wrinkles and stains of soot from the city. For a brief time in their lonely lives, until the firewater ran out, the Great Spirit would smile down on them, and their cosmic spirits would find peace in the venerable brotherhood of man.